All right, everybody. It's nice to see you all. I'm sorry, I was laughing. We were talking and chatting and laughing. So I am going to get started just by introducing myself and who I am. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you heard me, I do see some familiar names and familiar faces, which is exciting. I also see faces I haven't seen before, which is also exciting. So I do hope that this short seminar provides you with information that you could find useful and possibly schedule your health coaching visits if you have them, if you haven't used them, and so on. I'm probably going to go on for about 30, 40 minutes, something like that. And then I'm going to give you some time to ask any questions if you have them. Um, like I said, I'm going to start with introducing myself first and then dive into what health coaching is, and primarily just kind of give you information on the difference between health coaching, nutritionist, dietitian, personal trainer, how to utilize health coaching at Rose Wellness, how to get the most and the best out of it, and how to use it to your own advantage besides just a broad spectrum of what health coaching is. My name is Daira, as you can see. I have been with Rose Wellness going on 4th year now. And initially, when I started, I was an in-person health coach, and then COVID happened, and then I went virtual. So currently, I see patients Mondays and Thursdays, generally from 8:30 until 3:30 p.m. I do want to say that I am very accommodating if people have different schedules and need to get a health coaching visit on other days, Wednesdays or Tuesdays or Fridays. I can adjust my time and make that happen. So what I'm trying to say is that don't let maybe my limited availability and your schedule get in the way of scheduling your health coaching session. So I'll try to always find some time for you guys, and that just means adjusting days around the clock. And I've studied food science and nutrition. So nutrition has been my first love. Actually, sports was my first love, and then nutrition. I went to Maryland and I spent many years helping people get better, primarily through nutritional advice, and worked in various clinics in a very similar settings as Rose Wellness is, with functional medicine physicians. I actually was very lucky that every single place I worked at was a functional medicine office. So I've always had kind of that approach from the very beginning and loved learning how all these physicians integrate various practices, modalities, biochemistry from supplements into helping their patients, and utilize my help. At most places, it was, like I said, through nutrition. And Rose Wellness is actually the first place that I am a health coach. And I will share with you why I actually enjoy being more a health coach than just a nutritionist. There's definitely much more to it. So anyways, that's kind of a briefly what I do, kind of where I come from, my background. I'm originally from Bosnia. If you're wondering about the accent, a lot of people will ask, or my last name or my first name. I've been here for about 18 years and call this my home. Bosnia is still my home at the same time. So go back and forth. And so moving on, like I said, I want to kind of share with you why health coaching has given me more fulfillment in my work with patients rather than just focusing on nutrition. And some of you that have seen me at Rose Wellness might have heard me talk about this already. Is because like one simple answer to this is that diet is not answer to everything. I have seen people invest lots of time and effort and money into just diet and not necessarily always get better, because there's so much more to be done from a lifestyle perspective with stress management, sleep management, exercise, as well as a spiritual practice. That doesn't mean diet is not important, I do believe that all of these factors are equally important, and some of them in specific situations are more important than the others. And it is your physician's, your health coaches, your nutritionist's job to recognize which one is actually most important for you and to spend a little bit more time on that, but still encourage you to do other parts of your wellness. So as you can see, like I've been working with people in nutrition, helping people establish better eating habits, reverse disease, prevent certain diseases, uh, support, micronutrient deficiencies, weight loss, tons of that for sure. But it always would come to the point where, as we would work through diet and nutrition, we would find out that they're not sleeping well. They're very stressed out, and their lack of sleep and lots of stress in the lifestyle would be making it way more challenging to eat a healthy diet. Because as you guys probably know, weight loss nutrition is really like 70% psychology and 20-30% food. It's generally not, I don't want to say it's easy to tell somebody what to eat. It's easier to teach somebody how to eat healthier and how to eat better. It is a lot more difficult to help this person create that change. And that's why, if there is a huge impact from stress, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, the diet is going to be equally challenging. So once I kind of started looking at all of these things at the same time and still trying to figure out which one is going to make the most difference, that's when really things clicked. And it's interesting that that's really when I met Dr. Hirani, and she was looking to hire a health coach. And I was actually seeking a different position at her office. And she was hiring a health coach. And I was like, I'm in. Like, this was a sign. I want to do this because there's so much more that we could do than just teach people to eat well. So actually, before I go up here, another thing I want to say about health coaching is, what is actual health coaching? Like, I know, like, maybe I should have started this whole thing with that, but I wanted to give you my story first. Think about a health coach as your own personal cheerleader. That's pretty much, in a nutshell, what we do. Our primary responsibility and goal is to support you, to provide an encouraging and supportive environment, to recognize in what kind of environment you live in, so that we can help you establish goals that can be achieved in that environment. Because sometimes we have goals, but it's really difficult to even get started because simply the environment we live in, the environment that we work in, the people that we live in, make sometimes these things a little bit harder. So one of our jobs is to kind of recognize what is realistic to begin with and support you, and not only support you through the diet, but again, through your spiritual practice, support you through your exercise, diet and nutrition, stress management, and sleep. That doesn't mean that we have answers to all of these questions and that we are nutritionists, personal trainers, and life coaches, and all that kind of fun stuff. We generally know a lot about each of these topics. And if we don't know, that's why we work in the settings where our professionals, like physicians, that could help us answer some of the questions so that we can help you a lot better. So what I want to kind of discuss today again is how the health coach helps you set realistic goals, how the health coach, how does she or he keep you accountable, difference between nutritionists, dietitians, and health coaches, including personal trainers. What are some of the things that we do not do? Because there is such a thing that, we kind of have to sometimes set some boundaries. And I think most importantly also is like, how do you work with a health coach at Rose Wellness? So to get started, setting realistic goals at Rose Well, not only in Rose Wellness, I kind of was writing all of this, having all of my patients from Rose Wellness in mind. and people that I've met and people that I haven't met. And I do have to say that we all come to Rose Wellness or to whoever you're working with. It doesn't have to be Rose Wellness. We come with goals in mind. These are the things that I'd like to address in order to feel better. Some of these goals can be long-term goals, and you kind of understand that you have to take some time in order to get to the end and reach those goals. And that is something that we have to do and encourage you to kind of reflect and see, you know, are we just working on implementing a better diet, or do we also have to address your sleep schedule? Do we have to discuss stress management? Where does the stress come from? How do we deal with the stress if we cannot get rid of this? So a lot of the time that we actually spend together is focused on recognizing and setting these SMART goals, right? So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Every time you approach Rose Wellness and you go ahead and schedule your visit, we start all of our health coaching sessions with questions. What are your goals? Why are you here? And how can I help you? And I say we, it's really me because I'm the only one there who's a health coach. You probably won't see another one. Maybe in the future you will. I hope you do. But that's generally where I start, is really learning about you and helping you understand what is the most important first step to set the short-term goals and reflect on the long-term goals so that you can continue to make this steady progress towards your ultimate objectives, right? Once we have a plan of action, then we move forward to understand what do you need to do at home on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis to reach these goals. After which we have our follow-up sessions. So what I kind of started to say, you approach us with your own goals, you fill out your readiness assessment sheet, you fill out your social history, and in some of those forms, you do actually add in your goals. I have access to all of your forms. I have access to all of physicians' forms and all of physicians' notes, and they have access to all of my notes at the same time. So what I generally do is, before I even get on a call with patients, I get to review the form, especially focus on the readiness assessment form, which is where you are able to plug in what your goals are. And that's what drives mainly my questions to you at the beginning of our visit. Before our visit, also, I connect with whatever physician you're working at Rose Wellness. So it could be Dr. Schiller, it could be Dr. Lee, it could be Dr. Hirani, doesn't matter who it is, to understand what they consider to be the most important thing to tackle. So I do come to the health coaching visit with a plan of action, but I could easily just erase that whole thing, because what matters the most to me is what you tell me what you want to achieve. So I am probably going to start every health coaching session asking you, what are your goals? How are you feeling? And what can I do to support you the best that I can? Most subscription patients have 5 health coaching visits in their subscription. Some subscription patients, depending on what subscription we're talking about, it's generally 5 visits or 2 visits that maintenance people have. And while I don't have requirements, you're not, of course, required to schedule any of these visits. They're part of what you're paying for. I personally love to connect every roughly 6 to 10 weeks, because if we're connecting every 10 weeks, then we can spread 5 visits throughout your entire year subscription. For some people, 5 visits is plenty and enough to include in what they're trying to achieve. Other people end up using their 5 visits in the first 6 months of the subscription and have to purchase additional health coaching sessions, decide to do so that they can continue to get appropriate support. That is primarily based on how much support and what kind of support and accountability this person requires. And I'm going to go into accountability a little later on. But ultimately, if we have our initial visit and you're coming to me after you've had a visit with Dr. Hirani or whoever, we have goals to tackle. We have a 60-minute initial session and 45 minutes in all other sessions as we go on. It is going to be almost impossible to include everything in the first 60-minute session. And that is where that importance of deciding what is the primary concern that we need to tackle on and then work on and set goals around that. Because it would be also super overwhelming if in 60 minutes I go in and I just dump everything on you from diet, sleep, stress, exercise. You're probably just going to lose your mind. And it is not to say that I haven't done that before. I have. And I think it was a learning lesson for me that I had a patient kind of 30 minutes into a visit actually tell me, like, stop, back off. I need to take time and I need to like digest all this in. And I love that type of feedback because like I have your best interest in mind and I do want to share with you stuff, but I have to know how much you're ready to take on. And it was so helpful when she said that once she said it, that was the first thing that I started to do in all of my sessions afterwards. Is really try to recognize how much people can take on and take it back and prioritize things that are most important. So after the initial sessions, something that a lot of people forget about Rose Wellness, their subscription and the accessibility to all of us are portal messages. In between your visits with a health coach, I am not going to talk about physicians because this is not a seminar about them. It's about me and our work together. But in between our visits, do not hesitate to reach out with any questions, concerns, need for resources. If I am swamped with work and notes and stuff that I'm working on and I don't get back to you right away, I sure will get back to you and say, you know what, I am busy. Give me a couple of days. I will work on this and I will deliver. So that is to say that you basically have access to me year long. It may not be face to face all the time, but we definitely can take advantage of writing to one another and communicating properly so that you get this all support. Accountability. So the biggest thing really about health coaching is kind of what I said at the beginning, me being your personal cheerleader. That's where accountability comes in. And, I sometimes do wish and want to kind of approach even Rose Wellness to give me more than 5 health coaching visits or to help me divide them differently, because that's where some people need to see me maybe every 4 weeks at the beginning of their subscription with Rose Wellness so that we can implement some changes right away. And as they're kind of getting accustomed to everything, then we can ease out and see each other maybe less frequently. But ultimately, accountability is really the main reason why health coaching works. And why is that? It's because, again, going back to our health coaching visit, once we have established these goals, even if we're not going to see each other face to face within the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, we can utilize, again, portal messages. And I am the first one to say, I can send you a check-in message every week if it's necessary. And I can say, hey, Daira, what's going on? How are things going? Were you able to implement some of these changes? And I know that life gets in the way and it's so easy to just write, I'm doing okay. And here you are, kind of, it's like, I'm really not, but like, how is she going to help me through a portal message? Well, if you're able to share with me what you're dealing with, I can kind of recognize, and I can even say, hey, listen, I will take 10 minutes out of my day and jump on a call with you let's figure this out, because this is your health. You're paying for all of this. And I don't mind spending a little bit of extra time to get you back on track and brainstorm some things together. That's what accountability is about. But something that I also tell a lot of patients is that I need to know what kind of help you need in order for me to help you. Because while I know what's a priority, you yourself know what you're struggling with. And that may be meal prep. I'm out of ideas. I don't have the time to meal prep. Well, let's brainstorm. How can we meal prep easily and without spending 3 hours in a Sunday and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's where we can kind of utilize the visits. We can utilize the portal messages. We can utilize a phone call here and there. I mean, I don't promise it to everyone because then everybody would schedule and we would run out of time. But when it's needed, I am definitely there for you guys because that accountability is huge. Even if we don't do the phone calls or the portal messages, when you're leaving your health coaching visit, my question to you is, when can I see you again and when should we follow up? Some actually patients ask that themselves. When should I see you again, right? I always say, well, depending. If you already have a visit scheduled with one of the physicians, see them first, do whatever follow-up labs you got to do, and then see me right after them. That way, we know what you discussed with them. We'll have a lot more to cover in our next visit. But before we start to even cover new stuff in a new visit, we're going to spend 5-10 minutes revisiting things we discussed in our initial visit. That's the part of the accountability. And there have been patients that will come on to their second health coaching session and say, hey, listen, I haven't done a thing you told me to do. And at the end of the day, that's life. And I know, like just as much you guys need accountability and work with physicians, I am exactly the same way. The other day, I was talking to my partner and I said, I think I ran out of accountability with everybody else and I'm lacking some for myself. And he was like, that's like the loudest excuse that I have ever heard in my life. And we kind of started to laugh, but everybody needs it. And I think it's better that you communicate with me through the portal message 4 weeks after your first visit and say, you know what, Daira, I'm struggling to implement these changes. This is being challenging. What do you think I should do? That's a very easy question and super simple for me to help you with. Instead of waiting 8 weeks to go by for your next health coaching visit, the time has gone. We then have to almost start from scratch. And sometimes life does get in the way and we have to start from scratch, but those are different circumstances. So anyways, try to utilize these, sessions, portal messages, whatever you need in order to get the accountability that you need. As you can see here, I mentioned kind of in the last part, we definitely take all that information, resources, conversations, environmental modifications that you guys are going through in order to help you implement better goals. I just wanted to add this part in how health coaches help increase the likelihood of achieving your goals. These are just some percentages that I have done some research on, and I actually even counted some of the visits that I've had with patients and the follow-ups that we've had, and eliciting client-defined goals, asking for commitment about when, where, and how you'll do the action necessary. And that's also when we're setting these goals, we do have to sometimes go in detail. So sometimes I'll ask a lot of questions that people may not find necessary during our health coaching visits, but it is really to understand what are you capable of doing and how I could be of the most support for you. And then coaching provides ongoing accountability in follow-up appointments. That's why we have 5 health coaching visits and not 1. It's just so that we can stay in touch throughout the entire year, because You may feel one way within the first 6 months. You may feel a whole lot better in the last 6 months of your subscription, but you may have new goals. And that's exciting to discuss. So definitely, don't sleep on your visits if you have them, 100%. Social presence provides accountability. That kind of relates to our phone calls, as you can see, video calls, emails, or in person. I mentioned that I am not in person in the office right now, but it is something I am highly, highly contemplating on coming back in the office. It's a long drive for me, and that's the main reason why I stay away. Like I said, I started as in person and then switched over to virtual when COVID started. And this works, but I do know and I do understand a different connection when you see someone face to face and not through a computer. I am somebody who feeds off of everybody else's energy and body language, and I definitely value in-office visits. So I'm definitely going to consider that. But for now, you know, again, going back to the video calls, emails, portal messages, phone calls, everything is on the table, and you just need to figure out your best way to communicate with your health coach. The structure of the session alone, discussing and reviewing your goals, that's what I mentioned in our initial visit, all follow-up visits. Scheduling your next appointment is huge, super helpful, even if you put it on the calendar, and even if you have to reschedule it, it's still there. You still have somebody to think about. It's crazy that people will say, just because I know I'm going to see you, I know what I need to do, or I'm not going to do that thing. Regular meetings, feedback, social support, all of that is super impactful. Something else I want to add to this, which you might not be aware of, that it is definitely a part of your health coaching process of Rose Wellness, and I'm happy to provide this service. It's kind of a service, but it kind of relates a little bit to diet and nutrition, because a lot of the work that you do through Rose Wellness is through diet and nutrition. When we talk about diet and nutrition a lot in our health coaching visits, and sometimes we would ask people to track a food journal, to keep a food journal, to share their food journal with us. And that for me is so helpful, even if you only keep a food journal for 3 to 5 days, to understand what your day structure looks like. What are the serving sizes? When are you eating? The amounts that you're eating. That can be so helpful, not only related to weight loss or any type of body composition goals, but it also means a lot when it comes to your energy levels. If you're eating too much of something and then you're sluggish, well, we kind of need to balance your meals out a little bit. So whether you keep a food journal and that on a spreadsheet and then upload it to your portal for a review, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, you can use a MyFitnessPal app. We've created a Rose Wellness account. I want to say that it's Dyra Rose Wellness is the username, and if not, I'll share it with you guys. I'll find it and let you know. And that way, when you keep a food journal in MyFitnessPal and you send me a friend request and you keep your journal public, I can see everything you're eating. And based on that, I can give you in real life feedback, because even if I just log into MyFitnessPal and see what Dyra did for, these 3 days, I could quickly send a message and say, hey, this was great. Let's keep going. Or you know what? Let's fix this dinner this way. Like if we can catch something sooner rather than later, that's always way more helpful than anything else. So don't forget about that part. And if it's not Dyra Rose Wellness, then shoot me a portal message and I'm gonna send you a username because I'm gonna look it up afterwards. Moving on. Okay, so what do dietitians, nutritionists, and health coaches do, and how are we different? I meant to add personal trainers to here, but then I realized personal trainer is kind of like it's common sense what the personal trainer does. It's very different from a dietitians and nutritionist. It's kind of more similar to a health coach, to be honest with you, but I didn't add it in this slide. Um, as you can see, the outcome is the same, whether it's, weight loss, 1 second, guys. Bye, whoever, bye. um, sorry, I was waving to somebody who has to go. So the outcome is always the same, whether you come for weight loss, more energy, better sleep, stress management, to implement an exercise regimen, you can work with either one of us. The biggest difference is a little bit what I mentioned in this like introduction and everything about a nutritionist focuses on the dietary aspects of clients' well-being. So we work primarily through food and potential supplements to create change, potentially improve biomarkers and reverse disease. So nutritionists and dietitians primarily focus on foods and diets. And pretty much every goal when working with them is based on those two things. Dietitians work, excuse me, dietitians work often in a clinical setting. So you might find them more often at hospitals, also at physicians' offices, depending from place to place. But they generally prescribe specific diets. They could also, like a nutritionist, can spend some time meal planning, where a health coach will not suggest a supplement. We don't, of course, never suggest any prescriptions. Dietitians and nutritionists shouldn't do that either. But the biggest difference, again, with health coaching is that we provide this environment for you, a safe environment, a supportive place where you can share what your goals are related to your diet, how exercise, stress management, sleep, and lifestyle. And I always say with health coaching, there's really no topic we can discuss. We can talk about everything. We can set all types of goals, except, of course, like life coaching goals, which is leadership. And I'm going to come to that in a second. But the most, important thing about health coaching at the end of the day is that support and accountability. To throw in here, the personal trainer is generally somebody who will write out a exercise regimen for you. A lot of personal trainers have experience, if not necessarily education, in lifestyle, some of them in nutrition. You probably see a lot of that these days. And I think it's a great thing that even nowadays nutritionists and dietitians, besides health coaches and personal trainers, are being more open to learn about other aspects of well-being and implement that in their clients' protocols. So I want to say, depending on what your goals are, I think you need to first identify what kind of support you need and who can give you that support the best out of all of us. At Rose Wellness, I am the only health coach and the nutritionist at this time. I am not sure if they're bringing anyone else on board, but that's kind of why I said every time in our visits we'll talk about all of these things at the same time. 1 second. So what health coaches don't do and what health coaching is not. So it's not a therapy or a counseling session, even though there is a lot of that going on when we have our health coaching visit. And that is just because a lot of stress-related factors impact people's behaviors, and we have to discuss them in order to set more realistic goals. It's not a life coaching because life coaching focuses on enhancing leadership skills and health coaching focuses on health-related goals. And it's not an education course, so our goal is not to teach you new skills. It's more so to educate you and help you set the goals utilizing the skills that you already have and use certain resources that we can provide. How to work with a health coach at Rose Wellness. So I kind of already discussed this a little bit, but I'm going to go in again. So depending on a subscription, people have 2 visits or 5 visits for their yearly subscription. The first visit is a 60-minute health coaching session and 45-minute sessions afterwards. There are no requirements to how often you have to schedule these visits, even though I encourage you to do so every 6 to 10 weeks. That highly depends on how are you feeling and how much support you need and what type of blood work and protocols you're working on with the Rose Wellness physician. Why I say that, a lot of times people will schedule an initial health coaching session and still wait to do their lab work. That is perfectly fine because it's sometimes we have to address certain things right off the bat. But sometimes it's more productive to wait for all the labs to come back, review all of that with your physician, know exactly what your protocol is that you're diving in, then schedule a health coaching session to set those goals that are going to help you feel your best. So then after we've done that, we know, you and I, that your visit with the physician is coming up roughly in 6 to 8 weeks as a follow-up, generally. So then we can schedule our visit in 8 to 10 weeks. So that gives us opportunity to create accountability for the steps that you're going to do leading up to your second physician's visit, as well as steps you're going to do leading up to our second visit. In between those visits, again, you have your portal messages. You can send one message, you can send 101. It does not matter how many, for as long as all of your questions, needs get answered and you get the resources that you need to help you achieve your goals. And you can schedule your health coaching visits by requesting a visit through your portal. You can call the front desk and schedule a visit. I've mentioned at the beginning, I take patients Mondays and Thursdays for right now, 8:30 to 3:30. Last visit is roughly around 2:45, depending on the breaks. I am very often open to extending the day, taking a patient on a completely different day. It just depends on what I can work with and what you guys need. So don't let that stop you from scheduling the visit. Definitely encourage you to come prepared to discuss your short-term goals and long-term goals. Every goal is very valuable to be discussed. And I may tell you, listen, I respect that goal. I think we should start with this in order to create a more realistic opportunity to actually tackle your goal a little later on. And I would go in to explain to you why that's the case. I'll give you a perfect example for that. A lot of people come to Rose Wellness with different health issues. Among them is weight loss. Generally, many people have weight loss goals. And if a person has weight loss goals and still struggles with gut issues and still is working on balancing their hormones, I try to explain to them that weight loss should become a byproduct of tackling these two things. It's not impossible to lose weight while you're dealing with these issues. It is going to be a little harder and more challenging. So I may say, yes, we understand. These are your macros. Let's set this diet up. This is the way you eat. But as soon as your gut starts to feel better, you probably will see some change on your scale. So I will kind of share something like this with patients to just try to help them to understand that we are going to work on weight loss, but let's focus on maybe something else first. So again, I'm always open to anything and to always do what you guys want to do, but we'll give you some feedback based on experience and just kind of what I've seen in the past. Before we finish our health coaching visit, usually I will highly recommend that we create your next visit, that we schedule your next visit, even if you don't know your schedule well. It creates accountability. And even if you have to reschedule it later on, you still have a date to look forward to. You have weeks to work on your goals. And I kind of know what's coming up so that I can also plan our visit a little bit better. After our health coaching visit, whatever we have discussed in that visit, I will write a summary of everything we talked about that includes goals related to your diet, stress, sleep, exercise, and send you that plan, and you'll find it in your portal under labs and documents under the plans tab. It will always be there. In addition to the summary, you might also receive some resources that will be in your handouts tab of your portal. So that kind of says if you do request some resources through your portal messages, you will always find them in your handout section. That's it. We're accepting new patients. I'm accepting new health coaching patients as well. I'd be very excited to meet you. So I'm going to say, if you're able to unmute yourself, go ahead. If not, I will unmute you if you have any questions. You're not able to unmute yourself? No. So let's see.
This is Laura. I was able to unmute myself.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. I'm completely new. I haven't even had my first appointment. And I guess my only question is, I would meet with the doctor first and then meet with you after, correct?
Yes. I did kind of, I mentioned that briefly. You have your initial session with the physician, first one, not the one to review labs. In the initial session, they're going to get to know you and recommend what labs to run. You are more than welcome to meet me after that initial session. You might get more out of your health coaching visit if we meet when all of your labs come back. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Plus, you know, they're running a bunch of labs before we meet the doctor too. So
Okay. Okay, great.
Makes perfect sense. So thank you. I appreciate the answer.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Nice to meet you. Anybody else?
Hey there.
Hey, I saw you.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I have a question. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the collaboration between you and the physicians.
Yes.
I've been a patient of Rose for everybody else for a couple of months, and I'm kind of going through the first course of supplements and getting ramped up on that. If there are some side effects that occur of the therapy, the supplement therapy to fix the microbiome, for instance, sleep troubles, is that because it's a side effect, should I be talking to the physician or should I be talking to you?
Great question. So any questions related to your supplements, prescriptions, side effects potentially from supplements, go directly to your physician.
Okay.
Any questions related to goal setting, diet, meal planning, resources, come directly to me. So that is that answer. The other part, what I maybe forgot to mention when I was briefly talking about scheduling the visit and me having access to all of your forms and all that kind of stuff, I do have access to everything you fill out, plus the notes from the physician's visit. And generally, before I meet with each and one of you, I either connect with your physician over the phone or through the messages and ask them questions specifically related to what you guys are dealing with. So I may go to, Dr. Lee and say, this patient, I'm seeing this patient tomorrow or in 2 days. What do you think we need to tackle right away? And that's very often specific in her note and in your summary, but there is so much more beyond one sentence, right? So that helps me understand, what are we really dealing with? And maybe I had some goals initially I wanted to discuss with you based on your forms, but once she explains to me things differently, then things kind of set completely different and we start somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to see you.
Dara,
Hi.
hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
So I don't have my screen on, but
Okay.
I just wanted to say, so I am not a new person, and we have had a couple of sessions over the year, and I don't have any questions, but just wanted to comment, and it sounds like there may be newer folks on here, how much I appreciate your patience and your calmness and your competence in every call. And those things just, end up, I get off the calls, or the meetings, and really appreciate how it all went, even though I didn't at the time it was happening. So I just wanted to say that you do a really great job.
Thanks.
And you were hugely helpful on several occasions, but particularly with that SIBO protocol, and all the struggles that come with it.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted to give you a shout out and tell you how much I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And nothing makes my day better than when you guys get what you need, especially from a support perspective. So it goes a long way. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Take care. No, I'm definitely giving you guys time. I'm here. Answer any questions, even if it's not related to health coaching. Definitely ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you who to ask.
All right. This is off the wall. This might be a better portal question, and
Yeah.
it is not. I'm not asking for myself, but do you or have or know anyone who has experience with health coaching for an individual who has had an eating disorder?
I personally don't have that experience. To say that I would say that I can work with someone directly on that topic. I have some colleagues that I am happy to, share names. Like if you'd like to, you can send me a portal message and that way we can start this conversation and I can send you some names. I can also ask Dr. Schiller, Dr. Hirani, and Dr. Lee if they have resources and kind of see what I can find.
Okay, I'll shoot you a message.
Yeah, definitely.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, I guess everybody's getting hungry. If you didn't have your dinner, I hope you have your dinner lined up. It was great to see you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Daira. Do not hesitate to send me a portal message, even if you didn't want to ask a question here. I am around to help you with anything you need. I am pretty sure Rose Wellness is going to have this recording available if anybody needs it again. But you know where to find me. Enjoy the rest of your week and the weekend, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.